Welcome to the podcast playbook, where we amplify your voice, amplify your business, and amplify your impact. We are Amplify You. Let's go.
Hey, amplifiers. Welcome back to the podcast playbook. I'm Troy, your podcast production lead coach here at Amplify You. Today, I want to talk to you about something that might change the way you think about building authority. And that is why your podcast works better than a resume. We all have our credentials on our website, our media page, or we may even have a one sheet that we send out. Think about it. That's just a list of titles and dates. It's like a highlight reel of what you've already done. But you know what? As important as that is, it doesn't actually show who you are. It doesn't give people a sense of how you think, how you solve problems, and what it's like to work with you. They're just static. They start aging the minute you print them, upload them, or publish them. Now, compare that to your podcast. Your podcast is alive, it grows with you. Every episode becomes a snapshot of your authority, your perspective, and your voice. When someone presses play, they don't see credentials on paper. They experience you in action. And that's why a podcast is a more powerful authority builder than any resume ever could be. Here's something I've seen firsthand. We had two teenage clients of ours use their podcast as part of their college application. Instead of just turning in their transcripts and essays, they showed the admissions committee something different. They had a body of work that proved their leadership, their creativity, and the ability to build a community. That made them unforgettable. And think about it. If it worked for them, imagine the impact it can have for entrepreneurs and leaders like you who are looking to build trust with potential clients or partners, because that's the credibility gap right there. A resume tells people where you've been. A podcast shows them where you're going. And let's talk about your voice for a second. Authority isn't just about what you know, it's about whether people trust you. And nothing builds trust faster than hearing someone's voice. The way you pause, the energy in your tone, the little stories you tell. Those moments connect on a level that no bullet point on a resume ever could. That connection is also what shifts you from pitching to positioning. We talked about this back in episode 18, how most people don't want to be pitched to anymore. They don't want to feel sold to, but they do want value. They want proof, and your podcast gives them that. Instead of saying, here's why you should hire me, you're showing them, here's how I think. Here's how I solve problems. Here's the kind of value I bring. Over time, you don't even need to say you're an authority. They already know it. And here's the beauty. Your podcast keeps working for you long after you publish. A listener might stumble on your show 6 months from now, binge 5 of your past episodes, and walk away with a complete picture of your authority. That's a living resume. That's your expertise captured and always available. Let me give you another example. One of our clients was approached by a company doing research for a grant. This host wasn't looking to pitch themselves. They weren't applying for anything. Someone from the company had simply heard her podcast. They realized she was the expert voice they needed and invited her to be part of the project. That opportunity never would have come from a paper resume. It happened because her podcast positioned her as the authority in her space. So let's talk quickly about how to do that for yourself. First off, define your authority. Be very clear who you are, who you serve, and what you stand for. Vagueness doesn't build expertise. Second, you've got to demonstrate it in every episode. Don't just talk, show how you solve problems. That's your proof in action. Third, deliver consistently. Each release adds another line to your living resume. Your authority grows with your reliability. Fourth, distribute strategically. Authority doesn't spread if no one hears it, so meet your audience where they are. And finally, document the proof. Pay attention to the opportunities that come because of your podcast. Now, one last thing I want to leave you with. Recording an episode is just the start. If you want your podcast to act like a resume, put it to work. Share your episodes on social media like LinkedIn. Send one as a follow-up after a call. Create a playlist around a theme and send it to a potential partner. When you start treating your podcast like proof of authority instead of just content, it opens doors that one sheets never could. So here's your reflection for today. Ask yourself, if somebody was listening to my podcast and my last 5 episodes, what story would they walk away with about me? Does it reflect the authority, the trust, and the opportunities I want to attract? Because remember, your podcast is your resume, and there's nothing stronger. Until next week, happy podcasting.
Oh, you are still here. I'm honored. Thank you. If you're ready to take the next step, go grab the podcast playbook. It's free, amplifyu.com. Every step you need is there. And if we can help, don't be afraid to reach out. Happy podding.